Is this Greater Israel patch real? Now this popped up on Twitter on June 16th, 2024, and it looks like this account El Gawali started spreading this image. The Arabic text here says, a map of Greater Israel on a badge for an occupation soldier. They want to take half of Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon. This got 1.1 million views. The image was then copied and retweeted just a few hours later by a journalist, Motasem Dalloul, with the text, Israeli soldiers stick a badge on their uniform showing a map of Greater Israel, which includes parts of Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. Then they cry, for peace. Now, here's what's kind of interesting. I think he means they cry for peace. But bots start to copy Motasem's image and repeat his text word for word, complete with the misspelling of for, as in cry for peace. Multiple accounts, same image, same misspelling, with 76% of these accounts being inauthentic accounts. When 76% of the followers who are repeating you are inauthentic, you probably aren't one of the good guys. This eventually made its way to Roya TV, which is a private independent satellite TV channel based in Amman, Jordan. It has a viewership of roughly 25 million unique viewers as of January 2nd, 2024. And this post got retweeted 14,000 times as of the afternoon of June 18th when I'm recording this, and has been viewed 1.1 million times. Now granted, when it comes to the inauthentic accounts, 10 is a pretty small sample size for inauthenticity, but when you combine it with the term map of Greater Israel, you get a larger sample size, and the number of inauthentic accounts is reduced to 51%. So basically, as of the morning of June 18th, 51% of people retweeting about this subject regarding this patch are inauthentic. In the intelligence community, this is what we call a clue. And yes, you can buy this Intel Life t-shirt on Bunker Branding. So, is this patch real? Well, Prime Minister Netanyahu has come under fire for showing a map of the new Middle East, which did not show the West Bank and Gaza, although those areas may have been too small to print. And you can see the term Greater Israel is there in the article, although this article is from September of 2023. So the concept of a Greater Israel might exist, just maybe not in the kind of way where Israel takes over parts of Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Jordan. And from a tactical standpoint, the odds of Israel being able to do this is absolutely laughable. In order to project power, armies need extensive logistical capability. Israel just does not have that capability. Hell, just back in October, they were running around trying to find enough helmets and body armor for all their reservists. I got news for you. Israel has short arms and short legs when it comes to logistics. They can't act as an expeditionary force, and if they did, they can't sustain for long periods of time with large amounts of force. There's basically 4 types of armies. You have defensive armies, which are basically the armies of Europe, plus Israel, South Korea, Japan. Then you have internal security armies. These are armies who help the police. Those are mainly the armies of South America. Then you have palace guard armies. They're designed to keep the rulers in power. That's most of the armies of the Middle East. When it comes to expeditionary armies, armies that can deploy and sustain at scale outside of their borders, there's really only 4.5. The US, UK, France, Russia, and to a lesser extent, China. Note, I would also place the Philippines in there as honorable mention because they're trying to protect 7,600 islands, and they're expeditionary every time they walk out the door. But most defensive armies do have some expeditionary capability, but nothing like the top 4.5. So the idea of Israel invading, occupying, and sustaining an area of this size, it's laughable. It's laughable. Now, some people tried to do edge detection and they converted things to grayscale to see if maybe this picture was photoshopped, and that was a great effort. But ultimately, it's tough to do because Twitter compression is horrible. Last year, I evaluated a video from Twitter that supposedly showed a missile in Ukraine being reflected in cars. And I went through the video frame by frame and I couldn't see the reflection, so I said the video was deceptive. But when I looked at the Telegram version of the file, you could clearly see the reflection. I learned my lesson on that one, not to trust Twitter imagery with anything. Twitter is processing 500 million tweets per day, so they need heavy compression because they are storing all of that stuff. Twitter compression does some gnarly things to image files and video, and it really shouldn't be relied on as a source image. I just don't think Twitter images should be relied on at all because the compression is just too lossy. And like I said, I learned my lesson with that. So let's take a look at the actual text. Now, I only know a couple of words of Hebrew, and the only characters I can identify are on a dreidel. So I reached out to some Israelis who told me what the patch actually said. And the patch says the promised land of Israel, or Eretz Israel Hamuftat. And I probably pronounced that wrong, but the concept of the promised land of Israel actually kind of smells. Now, I'm not a very good Episcopal, but I did go to Sunday school, and occasionally I go to church with my mom. And I know that the promised land was mentioned in Genesis 12:7. The Lord appeared to Abraham and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." Now, the term Israel doesn't really appear until Jacob wrestled with God in Genesis 32:28. Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." The first mention of Israel, like as a people, is seen in Genesis 32:32, where it says, "Therefore to this day the people of Israel do not eat the sinew of the thigh that is on the hip socket, because he touched the socket of Jacob's hip on the sinew of the thigh." And finally, the concept of Israel as a nation doesn't appear until Genesis 36:31. These are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over the Israelites. So in order to be an Israelite, you have to have an Israel. So I actually asked my mom, and she said, "Okay, so I am doing this live, and I don't know what's going to happen. So hopefully my mother can give a good answer here, if she picks up."
Hello.
Hey, Mom.
Oh, hi, Ryan. How are you?
All right, listen, you're being recorded for a video. I had a quick question for you.
That's okay. Go right ahead.
Okay, how was your day? What'd you do today?
Oh, it was nice. Very busy. I went to the kids' science class, which was interesting.
Yeah.
We had lunch at Wegmans, watched them while Kate went to the dermatologist. We went to Old Navy.
Oh.
We were kind of like all over the place.
All
I
right.
didn't expect to be with them all day, but we had a good day.
Yeah.
How are you? Yeah.
I'm good. I had a quick question for you.
Go right ahead.
All right, so it's for a video I'm doing, and I know I went to Sunday school and all that, but what do you remember the time span between when God made his promise to Abraham and when Jacob went to Egypt? Like, what do you think that time span would be?
I'm not really sure. But I'd say probably around 200 years or so.
200 years? Because Jacob was... Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm gonna...
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, I'm gonna finish this video. I love you.
I love you too.
Right.
Love you, son.
Right.
See you soon.
I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, so if there's any theologians out there, my mom says it's about 200 years, and she knows more about this stuff than me. So here's why this is kind of important. The theology of promised land and Israel is kind of anachronistic. The promised land happened before the nation of Israel. So it'd be kind of like seeing a modern day patch that said liberty, justice, and freedom from England. Like, we already have freedom from England. I mean, that was a concept 250 years ago, but we're already free from England, so why do you need to say that? So this kind of makes me think that this patch may have been either designed or photoshopped by someone who really doesn't know theology, or maybe used Google Translate. Could be a Muslim. Could be one of those end-time Christians who only supports Israel because they need Israel to exist in order to bring about the second coming of Christ. But I don't see a Jew saying the promised land of Israel. It just doesn't make theological sense. There was the promised land, and then 200 years later or so, there was Israel. Now, the final thing that kind of smells is the fact that you don't see the rest of the picture. Typically, when you do a Google reverse image search, you'll be able to find the source picture as well. And that source picture just doesn't exist. And if I search on the patch, just the patch, I can't find that patch for sale anywhere. Now, I could maybe see someone making this patch and then selling it, but then where is it? Now, there is a non-zero chance that some soldier's dad has an embroidery shop and he made this one-off patch, but I talked to soldiers in the IDF who said that nobody would be allowed to wear a patch like this. One dude I spoke with said he sewed a Slayer patch onto his helmet and the chain of command made him take it off and he got punished for it. So what is the likelihood that this patch is real? Well, let's use ICD-203, the gold standard in the intelligence community for estimating probability. So Israel doesn't have the capability of acting as an expeditionary force and sustaining once it reaches its objectives, especially on this large of an area, is really unlikely. Also, this patch appeared literally from nowhere on the internet before June 16th, 2024. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I just can't prove that it existed before June 16th or appeared on any kind of websites that sold these patches. So I would call the existence of this patch to be a roughly even chance. But 51% of the people promoting this narrative are inauthentic users. So I said that brings it down to an unlikely. And then when you add in the fact that the theology doesn't make any sense, I would say that it brings it down to a very unlikely. So it is highly improbable that this is a real patch worn by an IDF soldier. I think it is most likely true that this is a very good Photoshop designed around a disinformation campaign that was released with the intention of misleading people. Hey, if you want to join the intelligence party, grab an Intel Life t-shirt from Bunker Branding. It's also available as a sticker and a hoodie as well. The hoodie is perfect for all you anime geeks who spend hours in a freezing cold skiff. And special thanks to Cyabra Social Media Threat Detection for allowing me to use their software. And especially thanks to you for watching.
Hey everyone! New Ryan McBeth t-shirts and hoodies from Bunker Branding are available. I'm gonna get the HIMARS shirt. What are you gonna get, Donald? The Patriot shirt, because I'm a patriot. It's the best shirt, the biggest shirt. Make 14 tangos great again. What are you gonna get, Barack? Let me be clear. I'm gonna get a Drone Sweet Drone shirt. What about you, George?
I'm going to get a Trident missile shirt because they're weapons of mass destruction.
I'm going to get a landmine marker shirt because my presidency always blew up in my face.
I'll tell you what I'm going to get.
Ronald Reagan, but you're dead.
I came back to tell you that no matter our politics, we're all Americans. And we should buy Ryan's hoodies and t-shirts because they pay for the stock footage and licenses that allow him to make awesome content. So come on down to Bunker Branding and buy a Ryan McBeth t-shirt or I'll start the bombing in 5 minutes.